Hello and welcome. It's great to have you back on this channel. Today we are going to talk about plots, and particularly we are going to look at the Matplotlib library in Python. So let's get started. This is the plot that we are going to create today, and as you can see it's an overlay of four different plots. The one on the left hand side, this one is a overlay of scatter plot and a line plot. Then we have bar plots, we have histograms, and we have another scatter plot that is from three different data sets again. Now in the figures, as you are seeing here, we have the x-axis label, that is days. Then you have the x-axis ticks, the 0 to 15. Then we have y-axis label count, and then y-axis ticks that go from 0 to 300 and up. Here we have the legends A and B. Then we have the growth plot, that's the title for that subplot. And we then have analysis of growth, that's the overarching title for all the four plots. And the order in which these are created, this is plot number 1, then this is plot number 2, and then histogram is plot number 3, and the recovery score plot, that's the plot number 4. So let's get started in Python. I've already created a notebook, and as you can see, I've set the path to a folder on my computer. So you'll also have to set this path to a specific folder where you want to save the output PNG file of the plot that we are going to create right now. Okay, so first we'll import the libraries. So let's go and do that. Import numpy as np, import matplotlib dot pyplot as plt, and this is the library we are going to use, matplotlib. Now in order for us to see the plots displayed right below the cell after we run it, we are going to add another line, which is %sign matplotlib space inline. Now let's create a sample data that we can use for the plots. I've already created this data so as to create the plots that I showed earlier, and it's x is equal to np.array, np.arange 20 reshape. And you probably remember these commands from the previous videos. If you do not, then you can always refer back to those videos for arrays, in which we have covered all these topics in much detail. And then dot reshape 10 by 2, and we can check the shape x dot shape, and then print, we can check the shape of x2. Okay, so these are 2 by 10 by 2 arrays, and now let's go ahead and get started with creating our first plot, which is the overlay of a line plot and a scatter plot. So line and scatter. For this, the easiest way to create a plot is simply writing plt dot plot, and here we give x and y values. So for x, we need all the rows from the first column, and then all the rows from the second column, which is at index 1. So if we simply type that, this will give us a plot right here. Now to make this more interesting, I'm gonna exponentiate that to 2. So in one line we can get the plot, but now we are going to label the plots, create legends, add colors, and that's going to add lines to the code that you'll see now. So let's copy this back down here, and now we can add a label. Let's say label is equal to a, color is equal to tab orange. That is a name. Tab colon orange is a name of the color, and we can write another one. So let's copy this, paste it here, and for this one we are going to just divide this by 2, change this to color blue, and now if we run this, we'll get a plot that shows curves like this. Now this blue line, we can change it to dots by changing the word to scatter, and that's how we get the scatter plot. Now let's go ahead and add labels. So for labels, it's plt.x label, that's the label for x-axis, we call it days. Then plt.y label, and here we call the labels count, and then plt.title, and this is a growth plot, and finally plt.legend, so that we can see these two labels, label A and label B, in the output plot. So let's go ahead and run this, and as you can see, we have a nice plot where the legend is on the top left corner. There is additional customization that can be done to these plots. For example, you can change the font size of the labels for the text. You can make them bolder. You can change the orientation to 90 degrees. You can also plot the data horizontally. You can also move this particular box of legend in anywhere in this space here or outside the box. So there is a lot of customization, but for now I think creating the basic plots would be sufficient to get through the courses, and in future we'll add more intricacies as we come in to new projects where we need to plot some additional details. Next, let's create a bar plot. So for bar plot, we'll copy the same code that we had up there, and here we'll change the plot to bar, and that should work because rest everything is the same. So that's our bar plot. It's the exact same data, it's just plotted in a different way. Again, in bar plots, this is a stacked bar plot. We can also have a bar plot where the orange bars are on the side of the blue bars. That's also possible. We can change the width of each of the bar. We can change the axes, make it logarithmic if we need it. So all those possibilities are there. Okay, let's create a histogram now. Okay, and this will be plt.hist, and for this one we are creating a new data array. So np.random.randn, and this, let's create 1000 points, and the bins for histogram, let's add it to 20, and then color to tab orange again to stay consistent. Next, we are going to copy the same line, and here we're going to add 50 and make it blue. Now let's go ahead and add the labels. So plt.x label, this would be the days, and plt.y label, this would be the count, and then plt.title, this would be distribution of days. So now when we run this, we should get, okay, there's a problem. The spelling is wrong, sorry about that. Okay, so here as you can see we have this plot. Now the blue is lower, we can change that. Okay, now we can see that there are overlay of two plots. Here there is also another option where we can change the alpha or transparency of the plot, and that makes it easier to see if there are any um, bars or is there anything plotted behind that particular color. So we could change the transparency in this way, but here since we just have two plots, I'm not gonna do that. That was just to keep you posted that that's also a possibility. Now let's create the scatter plot, and in this particular scatter plot we are going to use the x2 array. So plt.scatter x2 and 0, and then we have x2 comma 1, and color, let's give it the same color, tab blue, and label this as control plt.scatter. Again, now we can go ahead and copy this thing so we don't have to type it again and second time. So here we can change these x and y values a little bit so that when we plot them we see some differences and they're not exactly on top of each other. So this is 3, and here we can change this color to green, change this color to orange. Let's rename this, let's call this treatment, and let's call this placebo. Okay, so we have the plots, and if we run this we get a nice distribution here. So why don't we go ahead and add the labels as well. So plt.x label, this is dosage, then we have plt.y label, and this is the score, and then we have plt.title, and this is recovery score, and finally we have plt.legend, and that's for the legend. Now in this plot we can also change the size of the dots if we want to. So that will be s is equal to, let's say we put 10, sorry, s is equal to 10, that will change the size. So as you can see they are much smaller now. If we change that to 100, the dots are much larger. So depending on the needs that you have, there's a lot of customization that can be done. We can also change the shape of the dots. So if you are looking to create something like a X mark, so we can change that. So instead of a circle, sorry, we need a comma there. Mark, okay, so maybe marker. Okay, so as you can see, we can change the marker as well. There are different markers available, so we can do that. Okay, now let's go ahead and combine all these plots into the bigger plot which has 4 plots in it. So create plot with 4 subplots. Now for this we first need to create a space for subplots. So we're going to say figure is equal to plt.figure and fig size. So here we'll create a plot with 7 by 5. So 7 is for width and 5 is for height. And based on that, now we can go ahead and copy all the plots we have. So plt.subplot 2 comma 2 comma 1. So the way and let me go ahead and type this and then I'll explain. So we have 2 comma 2 comma 1, and we have here 4. So this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. So the way the syntax works is this is the number of rows we need in the final plot, number of columns we need in the final plot. This is the plot number. Look at this particular plot here. We have, this is the plot number 1, this is plot number 2, plot number 3, and we have plot number 4. So accordingly we have set up here. Now we can go ahead and copy the code that we have already written. So for this one we can copy and paste it here. Next is the bar plot, so we can copy, paste it here. Then we have the histogram. I'm gonna copy, paste it here, and then we have the scatter plot, and that goes right there. So if we plot this as is, this is how it will look. And as you can see, there is overlap of axes, and there is overlap of labels, and it doesn't look good. So what we can do here is space out the plots and also add chart title. So let's go ahead and do that. So figure dot subtitle analysis of growth, and then we have figure dot title layout plt, and we can save the figure to the path that we already have set in the beginning, and let's call this path4.png. and DPI will change on what purpose you need to save the image. If it's for publication quality, I'll suggest higher DPI. And finally ending the plot with plt.show. So now when we plot this, we see a nice chart. So we have this line chart, bar chart, histogram, and scatter plot. I hope you all enjoyed this video creating these plots, and I suggest you can go ahead and create more plots that you want to visualize some data from any open source or the data that you may already have, and kind of have fun with creating plots and charts. Okay, I'll see you all in the next video. Please like, share, subscribe, because it helps me stay motivated to create more content for you guys. Thank you.